because you brought it up with the Saka thing, yeah. I look at Foden because obviously the fact that he's Manchester City's best player and he's there, like you said, their crown jewel this season. That's a reflection of where City are at this season. Because I'm saying, and here what I'm saying, and here why I say this, because I feel like Foden, as good of a technically player he is, to me, and some people might hate me for saying this, yeah.
Don't you dare say he's a luxury player.
He's a luxury player.
No! Dare! Don't
Foden
dare!
Foden is a luxury player.
Don't do that.
The luxury players for me are the ones that only can play one position and kind of
No.
But Foden can play other positions.
Foden's a special case though. Foden, I wouldn't put him in that class. Foden's
what kind of luxury is it?
It's like
Foden is an X factor.
I could have created a football podcast when I was 6 years old, and I could have had a lot less howlers than these lot. Let's just read through some of the comments and see what some people think. Foden would be the best player at Arsenal, Manchester United, Spurs, Chelsea, Barcelona, Atletico Madrid, Juventus, AC Milan, Inter Milan, and every single German team except Bayern Munich. That is a little much. He'd definitely be the best player at probably more than half of those teams, in my opinion. He's not better than Antoine Griezmann, so he wouldn't be the best player at Atletico Madrid. Juventus, yeah, he'd be the best player at Juventus. AC Milan, not 100. He'd be the most he'd be the most talented player. Inter Milan, yeah, I think so. Spurs, yeah, he'd be the best player at Spurs. Manchester United, 100%. Phil Foden would be the best player at Manchester United at left back. At Arsenal, yeah, he'd be the best player at Arsenal. Chelsea, yeah, he'd be the best player at Chelsea. Barcelona, they got a lot of talented players there, so not 100% sure, but he'd definitely be in the starting lineup for Barcelona. He would definitely at least start, 100% start for every single team mentioned in this comment. Luxury, what? A man who constantly has to chop and change positions to fit Pep's idea. A man who has stepped up when City needed him. City don't compromise anything, playing him centrally. In fact, they add a lot more creativity when he is there. That is 100% facts. Forgive me if I'm wrong, but isn't a luxury player someone who plays only in one position, right? Can't play anywhere else? And, I've seen other definitions. A player only steps up when the team is doing well. He's being carried by a proper team. Is that what a luxury player is? Regardless of what definition I just gave you, Phil Foden is not a luxury player. This is one of the most idiotic takes I have seen this season. And it's coming from the same place that has an idiotic take every 5 seconds. Foden is a 5-time Premier League champion. All right, I'm going to say that one more time. A 5-time Premier League champion. Okay, he definitely did not contribute heavily to every single one of those Premier League titles. We know that. If you want to take away one or two, that's fine. He's still a 3-time champion. He can play left wing, he can play right wing, he can play striker, he can play center attacking mid, he can play anywhere up front. He was a big part of how we won the title without a striker, playing false 9. The guy is 5'7", playing false 9 as a striker, and it worked. Do you know why it worked? Because he has a left foot, he has a right foot. He can pass, he can shoot, he can dribble. He is quite literally one of the most talented football players in the Premier League right now. Right here in front of me, I have some notes of some notable games that I remember just off the top of my head, ladies and gentlemen. Just off the top of my head. I did this in around a minute and a half, just thinking about some of the best games Phil Foden has had over the last several years. Okay, so I'm just going to quickly run by all of them, because this notion of a luxury player to Phil Foden is drenched in stupidity. 2020 Cup final against Aston Villa. We won 2-1, man of the match display by Phil Foden, playing as a right winger. Liverpool versus Manchester City, where we beat Liverpool 4-1 at Anfield. Incredible display by Phil Foden. Destroyed Trent Alexander-Arnold. That's not really an accomplishment now. to get his fourth goal. Remember, he was on the right, he cut inside, and he blasted it past Alisson. No saving that. Wonderful display by Phil Foden. Manchester City versus Dortmund over 2 legs. Scored the winner at the Etihad. He scored the winner, I think, at Signal Iduna Park. He was the best player over 2 legs in our Champions League quarterfinal. I believe it was a quarterfinal. Brighton 1, City 4. He scored a brace at Brighton Stadium to help us win our title, to help us propel and keep our momentum going for that season. We won the title that season. Manchester City 6, Manchester United 3. He scored a hat-trick against Manchester United. Okay? A hat-trick against Manchester United. Manchester City versus Paris Saint-Germain in the Champions League semi-final. Man of the match display. Completely destroyed. There is a famous image of him dropping Neymar. Okay, he was the best player on the pitch against Paris Saint-Germain, and he had the winning assist to Riyad Mahrez to send us to the final. This guy practically carried us to our first Champions League final. Here we go again. Manchester City versus Atletico Madrid at home. Atletico Madrid. 75 players behind the ball. Defensive juggernaut, Atletico Madrid. So difficult to break down. Remember Kevin De Bruyne's interview? I've never seen a 5-5-0 formation in his life. Well, he saw it against Atletico Madrid. It was at home at the Etihad. We didn't create any chances. Nothing we did went past that defense. Phil Foden comes on. Literally 2 minutes later, he nutmegs Savic. Kevin De Bruyne scores. He created that chance out of nothing. What was said on SDS about Foden creating something out of nothing?
Foden is the type of player, he can create something out of nothing.
He's been doing this for years. For years. That is a Champions League quarterfinal. I think it was either round of 16 or quarterfinal. Over 2 legs. We won 1-0 on aggregate over Atletico Madrid over 2 legs. The only reason we went past Atletico Madrid was because of Phil Foden. I don't want to demonize the fantastic displays of Nathan Ake, Ruben Diaz, John Stones, Kyle Walker, and our amazing midfield over the course of 2 legs, but it was 1-0. He nutmegs a defender. He nutmegs a defender playing on a team that has 10 men, has all 11 men behind the ball for 90 minutes. That's what Phil Foden did. Versus Brentford, yeah, I remember this. We won 1-0 against Brentford. They were a very tough team to break down. Phil Foden scores the winner, seals the 3 points, helps us win the title. Manchester City versus Leipzig 3-2. This just happened recently. Who do you think almost single-handedly propelled our comeback? Phil Foden, playing in the midfield. Against Newcastle, we won 1-0 at the Etihad. Beautiful control by Phil Foden. Assists, Julian Alvarez, a fantastic finish by La Arana. 1-0, Phil Foden gives that assist. Fantastic display by Phil Foden. He was absolutely sensational against Newcastle. And one of my personal favorites, Foden's equalizer against Liverpool in our 2-2 draw. Remember Salah's incredible all-world, world-class finish against us, completely destroying Aymeric Laporte. Phil Foden equalizer with his left foot. Bottom right-hand corner. Alisson couldn't get there. Incredible. I think it was assisted by Gabriel Jesus. Foden did what Bukayo Saka couldn't do at Anfield. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, this is just off the top of my head. Just off the top of my head. I promise you, if you give me 30 minutes, I can probably give you another 25 games where Phil Foden has stepped up. Just because he didn't score a goal or had a hat-trick or a brace, that doesn't mean he didn't step up. Okay, you can step up and not score a goal, okay? I don't really rain on stats too much, but this guy has 9 goals and 6 assists this season, 15 goal involvements. That does not tell the whole story about Phil Foden. He is not a luxury player. That is just completely, utterly moronic. He has helped us through some of the toughest times. Some of the toughest times in the Champions League. This guy scored in the Club World Cup final. He steps up in big games. He steps up against all the big teams. He's been doing it for years. He's helped us win countless trophies. I said this a couple months ago, ladies and gentlemen. This is what I said. This jersey like a month and a half ago, and I chose one player. I had a chance to, get someone like Walker, get another Kevin De Bruyne jersey, get another Julian Alvarez jersey, maybe a Gavardiol new jersey, a Kovacic new jersey. But I decided to get Phil Foden on the back because I genuinely believe that this is his year. I genuinely believe that he can do this. He has the footballing ability. The football talent is there. Yeah, because I believe in him. I bought one home jersey, and I chose Phil Foden on the back. Because Phil Foden, ladies and gentlemen, this guy is absolutely one of the most talented football players that we have in our club. Luxury player. Your fan base wanted Marcus Rashford to win the Balon d'Or last season because he was the best football player in the world for 3 months. He had a great one half of the season, not even. Because of that, he's the best player in the world? Please. Balon d'Or worthy player of 2023 is getting benched by a 17-year-old on the left wing. He's getting benched by the world's most expensive fidget spinner on the right wing. And he's getting benched by a striker who has 1 goal in his last 75 games. Is there a single football club in the world that Phil Foden does not start for? Is there a single club in the world that he does not start for? Okay? I'm not an arrogant person. I can think of maybe 1 or 2 teams. I don't think he starts for Real Madrid. I really don't. Okay? He is not the picture-perfect number 9. So I'm looking at teams with a left winger, a right winger, and a central attacking midfielder. One of those 3. If he can slot in one of those 3 for any team in the world, is there a single team that he doesn't do that for? Speaking of Real Madrid, Vinicius Jr. is one of the best wingers in world football, and Rodrigo is a player that is so incredibly underrated. Rodrigo is a phenom. He is incredible. So underrated because of Vinicius Jr. and other players like Jude Bellingham, who has the biggest PR in the history of football. But I would still take Jude Bellingham right now in that midfield spot over Phil Foden. So maybe not Real Madrid. He definitely starts for Arsenal, Manchester United, Chelsea. He definitely starts for Tottenham. He definitely starts for Brighton, for West Ham. He definitely starts for Aston Villa. For Liverpool is interesting because Mohamed Salah is the best winger in world football. That left-hand spot, there's players like Luis Diaz. They've got Jota. They've got Darwin Núñez up front. So maybe in that attacking mid, him or Szoboszlai. You know, I think Phil Foden is a better player than Dominik Szoboszlai. He's been doing it for 5 years, Phil Foden. Dominik Szoboszlai is a fantastic player, one of the signings of the season. Do I think Szoboszlai is a better football player than Phil Foden? Absolutely not. But Szoboszlai's output this season can't be ignored. So maybe not Liverpool. Like I said, maybe there's 2 teams, and maybe 3 teams max. But I can only think of Liverpool and Real Madrid off the top of my head that Phil Foden doesn't 100% start for. Phil Foden can play as a left wing and give a 10 out of 10 performance. He can do that on the right wing. He can do that as a central midfielder. He can do it as a false 9. He did it 3 years ago. He can do it now. He is that good. I don't know if I agree with what was said in the beginning of the video, if Phil Foden is our best football player this season. I'm not 100% there because Julian Alvarez has stepped up so much in the beginning part of our season. So I'm not 100% there. Rodri is Mr. Consistent. 7, 8, 9 out of 10 performance every single week. 1 mishap this season, okay? 1 or 2 bad games this season, but the rest were absolutely sensational. Let me know down in the comments down below, is Phil Foden a luxury player? Do we have a luxury player at Manchester City? If so, who is it? I would like to know your opinion. Thank you all so much for watching.